Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to this fun edition of Drive Time on this July 27th, 2026. It is crazy to think we are already on July 27th. I am joined with my normal co-hosts, Scooter and Showtime Sarah. How y'all doing this fine Monday afternoon?
Why'd you say it like that? Normal
Because I,
co-host?
I don't, well, because last week we had like 10 people on the screen. So now we're back to our normal setup, if you will.
It's a fine afternoon.
It is a fine afternoon, if I do say so myself. So, welcome
Right.
everybody. So, Sarah, how are we doing today officially?
We're good. We're good. I finished my summer class, so I get like 3 weeks to have a break, and then I got to start fall semester. But I'll take the break how it is.
Taking the break is always good, and then, but it's not really that long, is it? Don't you guys go like right back here? Don't you start up in like a couple weeks again?
Yeah, like the 17th of August.
Well, that's no fun. But
It'll be fine. I'll just work. It'll be fine.
it'll be fine. Everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. And Scooter, how you doing? Speaking of work,
Good. Yeah, work's been busy all over the place with the wine and the barbecue job. I was telling you guys just off the air that all the tourists down in Rehoboth Beach, they used to just be jam packed on Route One, but all the tourists now know about all the side roads, so it's jam packed everywhere.
yeah.
Keep me away.
Now you're gonna have to just start leaving like super early again, just to avoid idiots. So.
I know, right?
I hate idiots. What can I say? But you guys know that. I can add that to the hate column, my own hate column. So there we go. All
Wow.
right, real quick before we get started with our little feature of the today. Of course, you can like, follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube, Facebook, and X, and of course YouTube. We're available 24/7, and you know all about the podcast stuff. We'll get back into that again here a little bit later on too. But I do want to get right going because we got a busy show here. And I've been previewing this idea of professional teams pricing out families and fans, and in fairness, I have to give a shout out to my wife because it was actually she sent me an article about how dealing with the Cleveland Browns and their new soon-to-be stadium, and just how much of money is coming into it from the taxpayers. And so that's going to be a section of this, but it got me kind of thinking bigger picture of really it's going to kind of I think we're aware of how much money we spend to continue watching sports, but it is really really crazy how much we actually truly do spend on our sports. So with that being said, I'm going to get kind of right into it. So we got a kind of few different topics here I'm going to tackle. One is how we watch the games and how much it's going to cost us now to watch games. Two, of course, watching that's going live, and then the second part is of course on TV. It's not inexpensive for us to watch these games on TV anymore either. Then you think, okay, well we're paying a lot. Well, they got to be really hurting on these TV deals and the money they're getting from the bettings. And of course, you're going to find out that that's not incorrect. And then you're going to think, well, okay, well by all this money, then surely that means that they're all paying for their own stadiums. And you're going to, of course, see that that's not the case either. So let's just get right into it, but kind of a little leadway of how these topics are going to roll. So first thing we're going to start at is the cost to attend these games. And the way that I use this and kind of putting these together is what it's called the family of four index. So it's basically if you had a family of four, how much would it cost you to go, and that's going to be the cost of four tickets, the cost to park, the cost of four hot dogs, and then two beers and two pops. Now I say pops because I'm from the Midwest. We call it pop here, but you regular folks across the world might call it soda or whatever other term it's called, but it's pop. All right. So that's what it is for two beers and two pops, four hot dogs, and then the tickets and parking. Okay. Maybe that might turn into debate later of, is it, do you call it, do you call it pop or soda? What's it there in Delaware? Is it soda there? Soda pop, or did you mute yourself, Scooter? You muted yourself, Scooter. Mute monster. I threw him off by
It
asking a
gets me
question.
every yeah, it gets me every time. Yeah. I mean, it's soda here, but you know how like in the South, it's kind of like it's Coke
Right.
because that's where it's in Atlanta. So it's like spread in pop. My dad would call it because he's from Michigan.
You're right. Well, then that's why your dad was a good guy because he calls it pop. So he did right. So all right. So there we have it. All right. So that's what this goes off of. So in baseball, The average ticket cost in 2026 was $34.82. Now that's just for a random ticket. The highest is, of course, the Dodgers, which is $76.57. I was kind of surprised that their next door neighbor is the lowest in baseball at $16.02 for the Anaheim Angels, which they go by Los Angeles, but they play in Anaheim. So being the cheap date of the LA area would be the Angels compared to the Dodgers. So only 3 teams are under $20 on average ticket, and 13 are under $25 if you're just talking about looking for just a single individual game ticket. The MLB average for the family of 4 is $225.90. The most expensive, not surprising, is the Cubs at $314.22. The cheapest actually did surprise me a little bit. It's down in Miami. You can get the family of 4 pack for $159.14. So that one kind of surprised me. I wasn't expecting it to be Miami to be one of the cheapest families of 4 as far as in baseball goes. Then if we look in the NBA, in 2023, that family index value was 222.31. It increased in 2025 to 304.64. So damn near $80 that it went up in the NBA to take your family of 4 to an NBA game. The highest is, of course, the New York Knicks, which is a whopping $745.18 if you're trying to take the family of 4. And again, these just to get your tickets in the game. We're not talking about any fancy seats here. We're not going front row or anything like this. This is just to basically get 4 butts in 4 seats at a game. All right. So then the lowest is in Charlotte at $158.72. So you can go see the Hornets, right? They're still the Hornets, if I remember correctly. $158.72 for them. 8 teams are 200 or lower. 6 teams are 400 or higher in the NBA. Okay.
They're the new Hornets.
The new Hornets, right?
The old Hornets are the Pelicans.
Right, because they were the Hornets. Then they moved to New Orleans, became the Pelicans, and weren't they something else in Charlotte before they went back to the Hornets? I can't remember.
Yeah, it had to do. I forgot what their name was, but it had to do with Johnston,
Right.
Johnson, who owned the team.
I'm sure somebody will throw it in the chat here for us. So yeah, so that was that side. So now the NHL is a little bit, it's kind of similar to some of the other ones. In 2026, the average cost in the NHL for the family of 4 was $304.01. The lowest are 3 cities: Ottawa up in Canada, $182.86; Columbus, the lowest in the States, at $128, and then out in Edmonton, you can do the family of 4 for $120. So not terrible there. The highest, I don't think it's any shocker here, is the New York Rangers. They come in at $466. Thank you. I knew Midnight Rider, if he was watching, he'd have it. The Bobcats. That's right. I have my old brain was failing me on that Charlotte name. So the Rangers come in at the highest at $466. Then Toronto and Boston is next at $447, and Toronto does not surprise me being on this list at all. Trying to get secondary tickets for any Toronto game is always expensive. Now, these 3 come in, and you're like, they're expensive, but okay, they're tolerable. Then there is the madness that is the NFL right now. The average cost for a family of 4 is between $700 and $2,100. And yes, folks, that is just for one single regular season game. It can range anywhere from $700 to $2,100. Philadelphia is the highest at $21.33.44. If you want to take your family of 4 to an Eagles game. Vegas, Chicago, LA, and San Francisco are all over $1,690. And I can tell from the Vegas side, depending on the team, that might even be cheap at $1,690, depending on what team is coming in there. If it's like Pittsburgh or Cleveland, whose fan base travels extremely well, you can forget about that being $1,690. That's going to be up more in that $2,100 range. The Jets, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Detroit, and Charlotte are more budget friendly. If you want to consider that budget friendly, but still the league average on this family of 4 index is $1,339. It's just crazy that what the NFL costs anymore to get into an NFL game. Now look, that these are all averages, and I am fully aware there are ways to get into games cheaper. The secondary market for some games, like if you don't care who you see, especially for baseball, you can still find some places where you can get a baseball ticket for $20, right? Like that's still possible. You can still get into an NHL game. You got the right team coming in town on a weekday. Like we've gone down to Columbus and we found $10, $15 tickets. It is possible, but if you're trying to plan out and ahead, and maybe you've only got one weekend, you're going to suck up whatever that cost is. And unfortunately, you may not always be able to plan that game around, when it's cheaper for that. So what happens if it's a big game, or maybe it's a playoff game? Well, you may remember this. This was on StubHub for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. All right, the cheapest seat in the building was $9,365. Like, you're not there. You can forget about taking your family, to that game, unless you got, somebody in the front row. It's just incredible. Like, there's just no way you're taking your family of 4 to that game, right? It just is insane what ended up being charged for that. And just recently, of course, the World Cup was here. This was for the semifinal, the last semifinal, because I thought about doing this, and the first one had already happened. But England and Argentina was going for $28.68. That was the cheapest seat in the entire stadium. France and the loser of that game, that was the third place game, was going for $11.62. And then for the World Cup final, the cheapest seat was $7,331 for the World Cup final. Okay, and this was on SeatGeek for that one. All right, so it just goes to show you, like what we're talking about here. So this is just for one single ticket to get into one of these games. In Major League Baseball, the average playoff game is $147. For the World Series, that can increase from anywhere from $1,000 to $1,375 for the last few years has been the average going price for that. On the NBA, the average cost in 2026 was around $160 for the first couple of rounds of the playoff games. For you get to the NBA Finals, that range from $1,100 to $4,000. If you're looking over on the NHL side, a playoff game would run you about 143, which I think, what was that Flyers game, Sarah, that we went to? That was 90, I think, was each ticket for the second round, game 1. Didn't we spend 90, or was it 100?
I think it was like 100.
100.
100.
Right. So right around that average. So the Stanley Cup final was anywhere from $500 to $1,350. And then again, the NFL never disappoints. The average cost for the 25-26 playoff season was around $150 to $350. Of course, the conference championships, that went up to $600 to $1,500. And then the Super Bowl was $5,000 plus. The cheapest seat in the Super Bowl was $5,000 to get into that. So you throw in a big playoff game and you can just about forget it. So now these are just the big 4 that we're kind of talking about. But even across the board, as you can see, some of these other sporting events aren't necessarily cheap to get into either. NASCAR, general admission will run you $20 to $60. The major events will be anywhere from $30 to $99. You want better seats, you're going to go up from $150 to $600 depending on the event. The Power 5 college football game, the average cost is $147 in 2023. The championship game had an average cost of $2,912 this year. The home games at most SEC and Big Ten schools are all over $400 each to go to now, granted, same thing there. Like, if you don't care who you see at the beginning of the season, you're not going to spend $400. You're getting to the conference games, the big ones that matter, you're spending $400 plus for a seat to get in there. PGA events, the average cost there is $150 for the day. Larger tournaments, of course, are going to be more expensive. Kentucky Derby, the general admission just against the Kentucky Derby is $160. The U.S. Open in tennis can range for $65 to $200 for ground submissions. But if you want tickets into the Arthur Ashe Stadium to see one of the bigger events, you're going to be paying anywhere from another $800 to $2,500 on top of that to get into Arthur Ashe Stadium. So it's not just the big 4. This is across the board. And of course, I had the graphic up of World Cup. Like, we all heard the stories of what it was costing to get into some of these stadiums for just regular World Cup games too. So that's just the cost on, to go. So now, what are we talking about for TV? All right. Well, it's unfortunately not much better anymore on TV. For MLB, you got MLB TV. If you want to watch every single game, you're paying $150 for that season. But don't forget, there's also games that are exclusively on NBC, Peacock, Netflix, and Fox TV and Apple TV. So if you want to watch your full national coverage games, you're going to be spending about $100 a month to do that. All right. But that doesn't include your own team. So if you want to watch your local team, now you've got to get their budget, which is usually about another $100 for the entire season to watch your local team there. So 15 years ago, it would cost just $70. Today, it's nearly $150 a month if you want to watch baseball, every single baseball game that you want to see. The NBA, they had deals for ABC, NBC Peacock, Amazon Prime, and the NBA League Pass. The NBA League Pass, kind of similar, is $99 for the season. But again, that doesn't include your national TV games. Your local teams, the average cost was $15 to $30 a month, depending again on which programming that they were on. You want to watch those games on Amazon Prime, that's another $15 a month. You want to watch the games on Peacock, you're adding another $6 a month. Oh yeah, then if you don't want to watch the games on there, you need ESPN Unlimited to get all the other games that you want to see. That's another $30 a month right there. So basically, if you did the monthly amount for the NBA Pass, you're looking at $81 to $96 per month to watch your NBA games. NHL, kind of similar to what they have on there. They have their deals with ABC, ESPN, and TNT and the NHL network. ESPN Unlimited was $30 a month, but again, that does not include your local team. Your local team was going to be another $15 to $30 a month, and then you need your cable package or TNT package to get the TNT games. So there's another $30 a month. So while better, you're still looking at $75 to $90, and have to hope that the cable streaming service that you have has NHL Network, because the NHL Network has some games as well, but you don't get the NHL Network with your ESPN Plus. So, you still got to then kind of hope that to get there. So you may not still get to see every single game if you wanted to, unless your cable streaming has the NHL Network on it. So then there's, of course, the NFL, which, no surprise, leads us again. CBS, Fox, ABC, ESPN, NFL Network, Amazon, Netflix, and YouTube all carry games. You want the Sunday ticket for your out-of-market Sundays? That's $20 a month or $240 for the year. If you want the Red Zone, because everyone likes the Red Zone channel, that's $42 for the entire month if you want that. Amazon, $16. Peacock, $12 to include the NBC games. Netflix, $16. You need Paramount Plus if you want the CBS games for your local CBS games. Because remember, Sunday ticket, whatever team it thinks is your local team, you don't get those games. So you got to have your local package to be able to get your local team if you want that. All right, ESPN Unlimited, that's another $30 a month. So that puts you about $106 a month to watch these games on TV. So that means, ladies and gentlemen, you are spending about $1,500 per year if you want to watch all 4 of the big 4 on TV for every single game. So what does that mean? Let's say you want to watch all your games on TV, and then you also you're going to take you want to take everyone to one game of the 4 major ones. You're going to be spending $3,823.55 to pull that off of going to a game and then watching games on TV. That is the current cost, basically, that we are throwing at these teams to watch our games and go to our games, which is kind of mind-boggling when you throw that all in there, right? So now, we're at these games. Well, we want to represent, right? So now we want to wear our team's jerseys. Well, of course, Fanatics has taken over that, which basically means that we pay whatever now, again, I know there are ways to get, some maybe not made at the same quality. Not that I think that Fanatics is good quality, of course, in any way, shape, or form, because I do not. But your NBA youth jersey, 60 to 125. The adults, 75 to 200. MLB youth, 75 to 150. Adult, 100 to 300. College football, youth 50 to 75, the adult 90 to 140, and then NFL youth 50 to 75, and adult 150 to 400. So we are still running up your costs in the NHL youth 75 to 125, and the adults 145 to 250. So it is crazy what we have going on through there. Is that me that's having the feedback?
I was gonna say, is someone eating your mic right now?
I don't know what's going on there. I just noticed that. That's like, why does it sound like that all of a sudden? Maybe my mic got too close. I'm just too excited by this. So it is my mic, isn't it? Because it's not you guys.
It seems fine on my end.
Does it? I'm hearing on me.
I'm hearing it too. I think Scooter's just deaf.
Scooter's just
What?
deaf. Wait, what? Exactly.
I couldn't hear you. Sorry.
I want to see something here. All right. I'm muting now. So I muted your guys' mics and I don't hear it now. Yeah. I don't know. So maybe it's not me because I'm not hearing it now. So we'll see. All right. So anyway, so I'm going to keep going because now I don't have the background. So I muted you guys. Sarah, is it you? Or did you unmute? Okay. You're muted again. All right, good. So we're going to mute you guys for now until I get through this here. Then we'll see what happens. All right, so now we're talking about TV contracts. All right, so you think these poor teams here, well, they must not be making any money on their TV deals. Wrong. Now, the NHL is hard to figure out because they have a lot of local TV deals, but their ABC ESPN deal was about $400 million per year. TNT deal, about $225 million. So that's only $625 million. The league, though, makes about $1.2 billion combined when you combine the local TV with all their local add-ins, okay? Major League baseball, they don't really announce a lot of their local TV deals either, but there are a few of them. But the Fox, ESPN, TBS, and Netflix are combined to make about 1.7 to 1.8 billion dollars. The Dodgers get 300 million locally. The Yankees make another 143 locally. So combined MLB gets about 3.2 to 3.3 billion a year from their TV revenue. NBA, their ESPN ABC deal is 2.8 billion. The NBC deal 2.6. The Amazon Prime 2. Turner 1.2. Their total income is 8 billion off of those deals. And again, same thing, that doesn't include any of the local teams deals that they have out there as well. Then the NFL is the real moneymaker. The ESPN ABC deal is 2.7 billion. The Fox deal 2.2. CBS 2.1. NBC 2. Amazon another billion plus 120 to 150 million for exclusives. YouTube gets $2 billion plus 150 million for rights at hotels and bars for them to show the games. So Netflix, another 75 million for their 2 games that they get per year. That makes their total income at $9.645 billion off of their TV revenue deals. So how about those other events? Well, NASCAR, they make about 7.7 billion on their TV deals. The Power 5 college football conferences generate about 1.2 billion dollars in TV deals, and that does not include the playoffs. The PGA makes about 700 million on TV contracts. The Kentucky Derby pulls in 9 million off of its TV deal, and the US Open makes about 75 million in TV revenue. So definitely the lowest of those of all the power ones. So now remember a few months ago I did the betting show. Well, this is the big reason why this is we talk about this being a problem. They do get a cut from the betting revenue as well. The NHL, 216 million in 24-25. That was a new record, up 20% from 22-23. MLB does not, of course, release this figure, which I think is very interesting that they won't release it, but it was estimated to be in the hundreds of millions for 2025. The NBA makes only about 170 million from the sports books, but again, that's those figures are kind of what they're estimating because it's not really released. The NFL makes only 132 million in deals made, and that's the deals that they have with the teams. And they also do not release the figure that is made off of the actual bets. However, it's estimated to be around $2.3 billion because $30 billion worth of bets were placed on NFL games last year. I'll repeat that number again. $30 billion worth of bets were placed on NFL games last year alone. All right. So they make their money off of that. So you think with all that being said, okay, well, then they must not charge a lot. Well, why do we have to even, like these poor owners must pay for their own money for their stadiums? Well, that is, of course, a no. $6.4 billion in public funding has gone towards NFL stadiums. Only 5 stadiums are privately funded. SoFi Stadium, Hard Rock Stadium, MetLife Stadium, Gillette Stadium, and the new stadium being built in Denver. Recent renovations at NT Bank in Baltimore were 100% publicly funded. The newest stadium in Buffalo was 60% taxpayer funded. The new stadium that's going up in Nashville for the Titans is 60% taxpayer funded. $1 billion went towards Paycor Stadium in Cincy for their renovations. So they're getting their money and getting their help there. And in Major League Baseball, $6.4 billion has been used in public funding. 4 current stadiums are privately funded: Wrigley Field, Dodger Stadium, Angel Stadium, and Busch Stadium. AT&T Park in San Fran had minimum public funding, but it's estimated that 73% of the rest of the MLB stadiums are publicly funded. Vegas is paying for a fourth of the new baseball stadium after paying for half of the new football stadium to get the Raiders to move there. So Vegas is also footing a lot of these bills. Other notes: of the $3.3 billion of costs of the 8 stadium arenas being built from 2020 to 2023, 750 million came from public funds. Most NBA and NHL arenas do have some public funding, but they are at least multifunctional places where they're getting more bang, I guess, for your buck, so to speak, than what you are with the baseball and the football stadiums, where it's just basically that. Now, granted, they do get concerts and stuff like that in. So the question is then, why do we do this? Well, cities are, of course, afraid to lose the teams because to cities that want a team desperately. The cities are banking on that they're going to make the money back with revenue that the team brings into the cities. And how do they bring in that money? It's very simple. They get the cut of parking, concessions, on-site, plus tax money that comes into the local hotels, bars, and restaurants and gas stations. So that is why they do all this. So with that said, I got it almost through it all in 20 minutes with rambling very quickly. But that is basically what we have here. So I will throw it out to you, Scooter, because I see that you are back and there. So Scooter, what are your thoughts on all this? I assume anything there that surprised you?
Well, the whole cost of everything for like families to go to, that's important. Now, I do like, let's not forget though, like minor league baseball has a whole bunch of places to go
Correct.
and they're very costly. So I did a little research. So a company that's called On Deck, they own the Double A Montgomery Biscuits in Alabama, Tampa Bay Ray team, the Single A Visalia California Rawhide team. They're the Arizona Diamondbacks, and they just purchased the Wilmington Blue Rocks here in Wilmington, Delaware, which is a national Washington Nationals Single A team. Which, by the way, they have the 2025 first round pick in the NBA. In Major League Baseball, Eli Willits playing right there right now. But the average ticket at all three of these places is anywhere between $15 and $25. It's very affordable.
Yeah.
Very affordable. So you can do minor leagues. Now, I didn't get into the AHL. I'm sure that's a little more expensive. But minor league baseball, you can have a good night out and not go crazy. And trust me, when I went last year to Wilmington, the beers were cheap. Moderately cheap. Hot dogs, they were nicely priced and all that stuff too. So if there was no parking cost, so that was really nice. Another part I found is the costs of ESPN and all those contracts. So this is like maybe 10 to 8 years ago, before streaming services got big with all this stuff, because it was NFL on ESPN, that kind of thing like that. So most people had cable only. So right. They did the study, and of $100, or if you $1 of your cable bill, 70% went to ESPN. Now that the rest of the 30% got spread out amongst the History Channel and Headline News and all those other channels. But ESPN had so many contracts that they had to pay out that it was 70% of it. I'm sure that's shrunken now for people who pay for cable. I don't know now, but I found that interesting. So
I bet ESPN's still a big driver on the cable of whatever you're paying for your cable bill, for sure.
I told that to my mother and she flipped her lid. She's like, I don't even like sports. I'm like, oh, well, you're paying for all these contracts in Major League Baseball and the NBA and the NFL. So congratulations.
Yeah, and that's just it. Like, I don't know what we do. Like, we all like our sports, right? I mean, we're on if you're watching this podcast or watching any sports, sports talk, like it's because you love the games, right? So like what will finally be enough is enough for us. I see people all the time on social media where they're like, oh, well, that's it. I refuse to get the games on Netflix or whatever. Well, okay. I mean, you might take a bit of a chunk out of them, and maybe eventually if enough people don't watch it, but like that's what it's going to take. Like, it's going to take a serious movement of people just saying, nope, we've had enough. And before any of this gets reeled in, and of course, now baseball may do that itself next year if they self-implode and go on a work stoppage. We'll have to see how that all plays out. But yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because you still love the games, we want to go and see them, but I told Sarah, we went to the one game. It's like, that's it. Like, I knew we were not going to be able to afford to try to go to any of the other games. And, same thing, there's a reason why I'm going to go see Kent State play Ohio State, because I want to go back to see Ohio Stadium. But guess what ticket is going to be really, really dirt cheap compared, Kent State or Michigan, it's the Kent State game that's going to be way more affordable for people to go to. So it's just crazy, what we are paying to intake our sports. And I just don't know what the alternative is, unless we, like you said, you find others, like minor league baseball is a steal. I love going to minor league baseball games.
I think it's great time.
Yep. And
they're always giving stuff out, and then there's fireworks shows and all this. Now I do want to point out also is that what do we do with it? Like, what are we going to do to stop, like, especially, and this is specifically regarding like Thursday night on Amazon, Monday night on Paramount. There's actually bipartisan rumblings on Capitol Hill about how they want to look into this. So you might in the near future get bipartisan hearings about this. And when it's bipartisan, where they're both like, we're coming together for this, you might want to look out.
Yeah, that's going to be, but will they, and then how much power the NFL has, like, Like, there's a reason why they now have games on Thursday, Friday, and they're looking at getting games
Yeah.
on Wednesday because people watch them, right? So, I mean, ultimately, if people keep watching them, especially the NFL, it's like, with fantasy football, like, people are going to watch it. So, it's going to be difficult to ever get them,
Well-
I think, railed in. But
Well, this wouldn't be the first time that Congress stepped in and did something, because back in the 60s, college sports, the NFL was getting kind of popular by the 60s, and college sports was sort of taking a hit on it. The NFL wanted to play games on Saturdays, and in college, the NCAA said, no, we don't want them to intrude upon our space. And so it actually went to Congress, and it was enacted a law where up until like the final regular season game, the NFL cannot have Saturday games. That's why you don't get Saturday games in the NFL until like December.
I agree. So if you have any thoughts out there, you want to throw them in the chat, I'll be more than happy to show any thoughts that you guys have out there as far as on the subject of the price of games. Sarah, you got anything you want to throw out on this subject before we take a break, and then we'll get into some of our regular show stuff?
The spaghetti's really good, guys. Anyways.
I was going to ask if you're eating.
I'm just doing a mukbang over here. No, I mean, at least, obviously I've been to MLB games and NHL games, and for at least NHL being down here, I've always like just considered just biting the bullet and getting like a season ticket membership. They always do like a Canes yard sale, obviously after the season ends. I think that's coming up, and I think they do start selling the membership. So I might just look into it, being like, to see if it helps out with the prices. But I still haven't been to an NFL game, and I mean, like, me and my dad had talked about it, but like just seeing those prices, I'm like, I understand why I haven't. Peep heard spaghetti.
He did.
He said
He
somebody
loves
said spaghetti. He loves spaghetti.
Scooter, we have a sign up that says no upsetting, more spaghetti, because this cat loves like it is like, you remember Lady and the Tramp? Like,
Yeah,
we've done that.
Sounds like a good cat. I like that cat.
We've done that with Peeve when he eats his spaghetti noodles to the song from Lady and the Tramp.
That's good. Yeah,
it's pretty damn funny, to say the least. So
I currently
All right,
have my cat trying to eat the spaghetti too. So
hey, there we
the
go.
more the merrier. But yeah, no,
Exactly.
I mean the prices. I totally understand why I haven't been to an NFL game yet. And then, honestly, like, if Charlotte was closer, I'd totally consider it. Or like, for the Carolina Panthers, but
We
I don't
threw
know,
around
we'll
the
see.
idea because the Raiders are here on Thanksgiving
yeah.
Sunday,
So there's that. So maybe I'll have my chance. But I totally
my-
understand if we didn't go, because oh my god. Although I guess was Cleveland on the cheaper side? Did you see an entire list?
Well, the Browns, the first 2 weeks are very expensive because everyone here thinks that they're going to the Super Bowl. Then as their season protrudes downward, the tickets can get cheaper. And if it's a lousy weather day, then the tickets get really cheap. So, but if it's a lousy weather day, we definitely will not be going. Like, I will not go sit in the cold off the lake shores of Lake Erie if it is a freezing rain or blowing winds. So we'll just that's going to be a big no. You're right, especially for this team. And I wouldn't do it even if they were good. Like, I'll sit at the NFL is the one game that I think you can get away with not being in the stadium for. Like baseball, it's great live. Hockey, love it live. Football, I've been to a couple games, it's okay, but like you don't get to see what's going on in the other games when you're at a stadium. Now, granted, with your phone, it's a little bit easier now, but we'll see. It'll be a big we'll see. That's what it's going to be. So, all right, let's do this. Let's take a quick little break, and then we'll get into our regular show right after this. All right, so we are back, and I guess I gotta bring this back up here. I guess I didn't think it would go away, but it did. So give me 1 second here. Let's bring up that one. Hopefully here, get it to share. See how long it takes.
Hey, Showtime. This Chianti, Paul Collins Chianti, great to pair with spaghetti and red sauce.
Send it my way. I'll give you the Addy.
I'll give you the Addy. A nice little wine. Well, so I'm waiting for the PowerPoint to come up. So while it comes,
Sponsorships.
there it is. All right. So again, from our show last week, if you haven't had a chance to watch it yet, please go back, check it out. It was, our official summit. It was great, having 4 coaches, 4 officials on. So I just real quick want to give everyone their individual shout outs, Mike, Aaron, Roland, Steve, Marcus, and of course Coach Devon. For Marcus, I had issues bringing this up last week, so I promised him I'd bring it up in full scale here today. So this is that Know to Grow football, and let me real quick here, I will throw up, because I think we still got that banner here, so I'll throw that banner up there too, which has the dates here that is in here. So a really nice program. Like if you want to know anything about football officiating and you are in that DC area, this it's a great opportunity for you for sure, and that's going to be next Sunday, August 2nd. So something to check out. I wanted to make sure.
You're missing a few of the fellas.
Did I? No, I got 6. Well,
Yeah,
I didn't have myself. Who am I missing?
Yeah,
I
yourself.
didn't put myself out there. Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't put myself up there.
Oh.
Am I missing somebody else? Who else am I missing?
Wasn't there 2 Marcuses?
There was a second Marcus, wasn't there? I did miss
One first name Marcus, one last name Marcus.
Yes. That's the one that I got this up here for. Jeez, oh Pete. Well, now I'm just a dummy at times. That's what happens when you work too fast.
Marcus 1, Marcus 2.
Dwayne Marcus. There it is.
Yeah, everyone was great. I was really impressed with them. The history and of what they've been doing, and I just love the fact that they're giving back to the kids, if you will, because they're trying to teach these kids great lessons in life, and they're getting them away from maybe trouble. Kids always like to get into trouble. When you're coached up, you're not going to get into trouble.
Thank you for
I got into trouble again. Coaches wanted to kick my butt.
Well, we've all had that happen from time to time. So I just want to thank the guys. It was a great time. And definitely went back, watched some of the show. It was definitely fun, even watching back for as long as it was. Everyone was really, really, really into it. So I appreciate it. So again, if you are involved at all in the youth sports, I strongly recommend checking that out. And we will definitely do it again. I think it was Mike that sent me an idea of getting next time trying to get some female coaches and female officials involved, and I think that would even add a whole another layer of perspective and stuff that we could get into. So that's something I'm definitely wanting to do for when we do a second summit, so to speak. So there was that, and then real quick, let's get into some of the events here from the weekend. Of course, the big news from over the weekend was LeBron has finally made his decision, Part 4. I joke with who hates who more, Showtime hating Aaron Judge or Lee Ice hating LeBron. Lee Ice was great to listen to during his talk about LeBron going to Philly. So it'll be interesting to see. Signs a 2-8 deal there. Of course, the local feedback here in Cleveland, I think it's been kind of mixed. There's some people that really thought for sure he was going to come back to end his career here and are truly disappointed. I think there are quite a few that are just kind of like, I don't really know that he would have helped them win. I still don't know that it helps them win. I don't know what to make out of it all, but he's going to Philly. He thinks Philly gives him the best chance to win another championship. Scooter, anything on LeBron going to Philly?
I mean, LeBron, he had 23 points last year. I mean, he adds anything, huge amount to any team. That's how good LeBron James is. I mean, okay, now MJ is the guy, but right there is LeBron. So, I mean, with Jaylen Brown now, I mean, they got themselves a team. They got some, good players on that team, and who knows what they could do next. They might bring in someone else. But I think an interesting part of this is the ownership of the 76ers is the Harris Blister Sports and Entertainment Group, which is owned by Josh Harris, who owns the Washington Commanders. So that should be very interesting to see if maybe, this is the first of a few big, bold moves that Josh Harris makes for his teams. And we're going to talk about another one of his teams in a little bit later. So
we sure are. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I think it makes them maybe the favorites in the East. But, again, I think a lot of that too is depending on health. LeBron isn't getting young. Embiid has had his share of health issues too. So that's going to be the question for Philly. Can they stay healthy?
Well, I can tell you what, as like Philly South here in Wilmington, Delaware, everyone thinks they're not going to lose a game.
Well,
they're not going to. They're just going to sweep the season in the postseason and just not lose a game. So it is like they ain't us. They ain't us. It's like,
Phil-
no.
Philly
Yep, good
fans
luck.
are always reasonable about their team's expectations, Scooter. I mean, so
It's fun living up here.
I'm sure. Sarah, anything on LeBron going to Philly?
I mean, obviously, like I don't know much. I don't know why Philly, if that makes sense. Like I was talking to one of my coworkers about it, and he was just more so upset that now LeBron's on the Eastern Conference because I mean I feel like the Eastern Conference is already kind of like a little packed, with just chaos. I think, but I mean I was like asking him. I was like, I mean, is Philly good now? But like he was saying, like LeBron signing somewhere now isn't as big as it used to be with LeBron signing like 5 years ago. So I don't know. I mean, it's interesting for sure. I don't understand it, but also I don't understand basketball. So fair point, I guess.
That's true. Well, that's why we leave. We have a great show called Nothing But Net for anyone that wants some stuff on Wednesdays. If you need your fill of the NBA and college hoops, Nothing But Net is your place to go to for that. So and I know they already talked about it a little bit. We just weren't on with having the other show and stuff. So I'm sure they'll get into that even more this week. But don't forget to check that out. There you go. Number 2 show plug. So NASCAR, Corey Heim wins the Brickyard 400. I always love events at the good old Indianapolis racetrack. It's the second win of the year, 7th for Michael Jordan's team. Scooter, what do you got on this?
Well, he's not even Corey Heim's not even officially a rookie because he's a part-time racer this year. He's 24 years old. He's a part-time racer, which means he's not even allowed to race in the playoffs. Next year he's full-time. Playoffs. Next year he's full-time, so he can be rookie of the year next year while already having there's a chance he wins several more times this season. And he's playing. He's racing 14 races. He's won 2. Pretty good kid. He led the most laps in that race. The Brickyard 400 is one of the crown jewels that, there's, Denny Hamlin wanted to win it. Joey Logano wanted to win it, who've never won it before. And they lost to a guy who's never raced there before, but Corey Heim did win the Truck Series last year. So he's a known commodity out there. The sad part was seeing a lot of empty seats. Made me sad.
Was it weather bad or anything like that, or
no,
any reason?
It looked like beautiful. It was beautiful weather. It's just not a lot of people into it, which is
that's a shame.
Weird. Yeah.
Have they had issues with that before with the Brickyard there in NASCAR? It's just maybe a one-off, or
it could be a one-off. I'm not sure, but it should be interesting. I didn't look into the stats, but there were a lot of empty seats, and that's the first thing I noticed.
Yeah. Sarah, anything on the NASCAR event?
I wasn't able to watch it. Well, no, what was I even? I had to work in the morning, and then I think I was studying for a trig, obviously.
That's a good idea.
So I wasn't able to watch it, but I mean, it is an amazing season from the 23, and 11. That is again just absolutely crazy domination in NASCAR right now. So I'm also just kind of waiting for the playoffs because I haven't I paid attention for it. I've been paying attention obviously at the start of the season, but then now I'm I still know who wins certain races, but now I'm
that's sort of how it goes in the NASCAR
I still don't watch
season.
it. So I think once the playoffs start, I'll be able to watch it a little bit more.
Playoffs?
Yeah, that's sort of Sarah. That's how it seems to go every NASCAR season. It's when you get into the summer, you sort of lose track. It's another race.
Yeah, exactly.
Next week, and then now it's on 17 different channels like the NFL is. So you can't quite figure out what channel it's on. So it's a little annoying.
All right, so there's our quick little weekend recap. So we're going to do a little bit of baseball, not a lot because we had so much other stuff to do. We will next week because next week is the trade deadline. We'll get into that here in a little bit. So I did real quick, from All-Star Weekend, we did have 2 anthems to add. The first one was Rachel Coleman. She got a nice, what'd she get? She got 41, I think I gave her, which now she's a Navy musician. And normally, our people are in active duty that then sing the anthem. They usually get pretty high scores. I'm pretty much a sucker for them because they just come out and sing it. But she was a little monotone. It was just very one voice, not really much, excitement or anything like that. So I only gave her 41. And then we had, for some reason, this was controversial with some people. They didn't like Patti LaBelle. And now look, I get it. You guys know, normally I'm not a big fan of anthems that have large runs in them and are very, very slow. But it's Patty freaking LaBelle. She's 82 years old. She sounded freaking amazing. I mean, she hit every single note. She would have got a 50 if she would have kept the runs down, and she would have been a little bit quicker. She would have got a 50. So she does get some deductions because I don't like the big runs. But for some reason, like, people were like really against it. I thought it was an amazing anthem. So those were my two anthems, of course, because we don't get many at this time of year. But Patty, for 82 years old, tip of the hat to you. I thought it was a thing of beauty. Any anthem thoughts, Scooter?
No, I missed him. I heard our anthem today at work, but I missed those two. And Patti LaBelle is she's an iconic figure in music, and I'd probably give her the benefit of that. I don't know what any complaints are because I didn't see it, but I'd probably just say it's Patti LaBelle. Yeah,
right.
She's in her 80s. She's not expected to be perfect.
Well, it wasn't even. It's just because she ran it long, and she did do a lot of these like runs and stuff in it, and not that she added words, but just made them longer. Which again, normally I'm not a big fan of. But when you're going to do the runs, and if you have them in perfect pitch and everything is perfect, like, I can't really fault you that much for it. So like, she lost 3 points because of it, but I thought it was really, really good. Sarah, anything on the anthems?
Who's Patti LaBelle?
Oh boy.
I'm going to say this. If they bring out Dionne Warwick, I'm giving her. You better give her a 50, Matt. Okay. if they pull Dionne out somewhere, because she's a University of Hartford graduate. She's one of me. She's an alum with me.
Screw you.
Even though she's like 20 years older than me.
Oh, that's funny. Well, we'll see. I remember the old show Solid Gold that Dionne Warwick was on. That, and she would sometimes try to sing the songs. Whenever she tried to sing the songs, I'd be like, what are you doing? You should not be singing that song. All right, but we've totally gone off the slide there. So speaking of slides, there are two teams that are definitely sliding. The Guards have lost 5 in a row. I got all excited because Jose came back, and instead the offense has just completely crap the bed in Cleveland. They cannot score any runs. I joked in the 3rd inning because Parker Messick was pitching really, really well yesterday. And I'm like, you watch, he's going to lose 1-0. And sure as hell enough, he lost the game 1-0. And shout out to Anthony. I really thought the Marlins were not going to have one of these slides, but he called it. He said his team was going to go downhill, and they've lost 12 in a row. So maybe it's Anthony's fault. I think it's his own fault for doing this to his team. He sabotaged his team by not believing in them. So the Marlins have lost 12 in a row. They're now down to 52, 54. On the other side, we had the Red Sox, who just were on fire. They just ended their 15-game winning streak. They've gone from a team that looked to be likely that they would be sellers at the deadline to now they're probably going to be buying people, and they are sitting there at 54-50. We will get into a trade that they made here in a little bit, but they are 54-50. So, Scooter, any thoughts on the Guards, Marlins, or Red Sox?
Well, first, the Red Sox a few weeks ago, I called that. I said, watch out of them. Because I think at that point, they won like 3 games or something like that. But then they went on that huge run, and that was crazy. And I hate the Red Sox, and that was just so impressive. Especially they don't really have that great of a team. And so they could go right back into a Marlins slide. So I don't know if they will, but that could be on the future. But Marlins doing their thing. I don't know. I think Anthony he just knows his team well. And the Guards, they're still in the playoffs right now. So playoffs. I wouldn't lose any sleep over it because, she said there's going to be highs and lows. The 3-7 the past 10. I think they're good enough to get through it, especially with Jose back.
I sent this out to you guys, and this is why I'm not very optimistic for my team. Where is that here? Did I send to you guys? It's around here somewhere. Who the hell did I send it to? Of how many runs they scored? Oh no, I put it on Facebook post. Hold on, forget it. Well, anyway, they've not scored a lot of runs over the last 10 games. That's the bottom line. And then so like I said, like the lineup was Sucky McSuckerson, Suckwad Jones, and all these other, because it's just they just
I responded to that, and I told you one of those guys is not on Cleveland. He's on the Rockies.
Yes, that which is very funny. I did enjoy that tremendously. So, all right, so there's that. So, and then of course the big news is the Major League trade deadline, which is pretty cool for us. It's next Monday at 6 p.m. So while we are live, that final hour will be the last hour of the MLB trade deadline. Now, I don't really know what we're gonna get, because what's kind of crazy when you think about we don't know what's going to happen next year. So a lot of these players that I think would be on the market that have a year or maybe 2 years left on their contract, I don't know where they know how to value them, because I think a lot of teams aren't expecting, if we do have a season next year, I don't think that they're honestly thinking it's going to be 162 games, to be honest with you. So it's going to be interesting to see that. The other part of this is you really only have 6 teams that I think are truly 100% they're out of it. And that's the Mets, Angels, Giants, Reds, Royals, and Rockies. You probably can make an argument that the Reds really truly aren't out of it yet if you really wanted to, but the other teams I think are safe. So I think that's the other part of this is I don't think there's going to be a lot of teams that think that they're true sellers. Do you have any feelings on that, Scooter, of teams that you think that could be selling, or what we're going to see with this whole lockout of how it affects the trade deadline?
Well, I think you're going to see the Tigers move a few. I think they know that it's not their season, but you could look at the Athletics, but I think there's a few players the A's could trade and get some in return, for the future coming up.
And I'll throw this up before I go to Sarah, because you did mention the Tigers, and I think that's the big question going into Monday is, do they trade Skubal, who is set to be a free agent? But you talked about the Tigers, but they have climbed back up into this thing a little bit. They're 50 and 56. They're only 3.5 games out of that third wild card spot. So do they trade Skubal? So Sarah, what are your thoughts, either the trade deadline, or if you want to attack the Skubal question first, I'll let you go first.
First of all, you didn't even let me speak on the last slide.
I didn't. Oh, well, let me go. Okay. Oh, that's right. I did not, because you were holding up your little angry man yelling at cloud thing. So I forgot about that.
No, I didn't. What are you talking about?
I saw that.
What are you talking about? Anyways, no, I just think it's important to mention, I'm going to bring up this story. So I was at work. I saw this guy with a Red Sox shirt on, and I started being I was like, are you at least from Boston? Because I know some people from the North moved down here, but I got to make sure, because I see a bunch of Yankees fans. So I have to make sure.
Plenty of Red Sox fans who have never been to Boston.
Yeah, exactly. So he's like, yeah, no, I'm from Massachusetts. And then somebody else in the chat was from Somebody else in the room was from Massachusetts. And they started just talking about places. And then they started talking about Fall River. But then I just had a straight up 10-minute conversation with this guy over the Red Sox and then other teams. And he was like, but if it is a great conversation, Ricardo, if you're he's not watching this, but I grew up in dream.
You should have plugged the show. What the hell's wrong with you?
I was about to say something, and then I don't remember, but I should have. It's my bad. That's my bad. But okay, sorry. That's all I wanted to say about the Red Sox. But they're doing great. They're on fire. I was talking to him about the win streak, because it's insane. And then the next one, I don't know if the Tigers would trade Skubal. But I don't really know where he would go, if that makes sense.
Well,
I don't really know if anybody's really trying to grab him.
Oh, I can name a few teams. The Yankees would probably be definitely after one Skubal.
I got a prediction. He's going to Tampa.
Tampa, that would be interesting.
Tampa's going to go and surprise a lot of people. That's all I'm going to say.
Speaking of Anthony, if you just joined us, you missed our shout out because we mentioned the Marlins losing streak and we gave you your props for that. So I don't know what your question about where Miami's going to be. I think Miami is one of these numerous teams that I could see them being both. I think you're going to see a lot of teams that trade players and then bring players in other trades. I think you're going to see a lot of these teams do these type of maybe not really fully buying and maybe not fully selling mode. I don't know where your Marlins are going to fall. Scooter, what do you think? Do you think they're going to be buyers, sellers, or just kind of stand pat?
I think it's kind of like Washington, where the Nationals is. With a team that you got right now, you're going to just give it up when you're that close. So I think the Marlins actually bring in, they're on a bad streak right now. Okay. Good thing they had a really good run earlier. So they're back to even, if you will, but they're only right out of the playoffs. And I think they're going to make it. They're going to make some trades, but they're going to get something in return because they don't want to quit the season.
I think the problem for the NL side of it is ultimately, you're going to have to go against the Dodgers. I don't know that any of these teams are still good enough to beat the Dodgers. Or at least in the American League, you can make an argument. You pick up the right player or two, you got a ticket to the World Series, at least. Where in the National League, you still got to go through the Dodgers. And Anthony, yeah. Do you think Sandy's one of the people they trade? I could see them trading Sandy because I think he's got, but again, like we talked about this at the beginning, I think if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think Sandy's got a year left after this year, so he's not a free agent. But the question is going to be, where do you value these guys that got a year left on their deal because of the work stoppage? And I think that's going to be maybe the only thing that keeps them from dealing him is the mark. I think they're going to want probably a lot for him, and I don't know that teams are going to be willing on giving it up, not knowing how much of next year you got with him. But if I'm wrong, if he's a free agent, then I think he definitely could go. But if he's got a year left, I think he's going to be one of these players that just are going to be hard to move because you just don't know what to value him at.
Well, if you have a team like the Dodgers, you just said, who they could run and pull these, they're going to be buying. But if you're a team like the Dodgers and you're a team like Washington, or if Miami improves their offense to a team that scores a lot of runs, if you're in one of those like 5-game series, Washington can steal a few games. Maybe the Marlins you can steal a few games if you score runs. So the Marlins have to build up and start scoring runs. So they need some offense in there.
All right, Anthony has given Sarah a fastball down the middle with this next question, or this next comment. Anthony believes that a sinking feeling that the Dodgers will get Skubal. Sarah, what would be your thoughts of the Dodgers if they get Skubal?
Okay, you said earlier about the Yankees getting them too. It doesn't change anything. If anything, it's just going to make my hatred more for either team. The thing is, I don't hate Skubal. It's just if he goes
but what'd you feel about Skubal if he's on the Dodgers?
I hate the Dodgers.
I don't think the Dodgers need Skubal.
They don't. They literally don't.
They don't. It would be like a waste, I think.
Look, they need to sell for my predictions to be right, okay? Sell everything. Sell the team. Just like the Yankees, too. Sell everything. Sell Judge. Oh, my God. Could you imagine if he got traded to Cleveland? I would kill myself. Sorry. But, like, just...
He's got the Yankees going after Sandy, which I could see the Yankees going after one of those guys, too. And
I would hate Sandy. I'm sorry, Anthony.
And then there's other players too that I think could be on the move. Luke Weaver for the Mets if a team wants a closer, which is interesting. He doesn't close for the Mets, but he's only got, Chapman's likely off the market now with how good Boston's doing. I can't see Hader getting dealt with Houston being in it. Mason Miller in San Diego. San Diego's hanging around it too. He's not even a closer for the Mets, but he's their only bright spot. He's only given up 1 earned run in his last 28 innings pitched. So I think Luke Weaver is definitely going to be on the move. Kevin Gooseman is a nice, third, fourth, starter who still has an ERA below league average. Mickey Moniak is a guy in Colorado that he hits, especially against righties. I think he's definitely going to get dealt. Robbie Ray for the Giants is another starter that's an innings eater. I'll just throw up these other kind of names here that I've talked about, and then if there's any names you guys think. Joe Ryan in Minnesota. CJ Abrams has been talked about in Washington a lot just because, again, contracts coming up. I don't think they're going to do it, but, for the right thing. Jose Soriano and Reed Detmers for the Angels. Dalton Varsho in Toronto. Clay Holmes for the Mets. Casey Mize, which is another guy that's going to be a free agent after this year. If Detroit does want to deal Skubal, maybe they also deal Mize. Luis Ariz for San Francisco will definitely be gone. Taylor Ward in Baltimore. Shane Bieber in Toronto, if Toronto's pulling the plug. Seth Lugo in KC. JJ Bleday in Cincy. Joe Adell for the Angels. Luis Robert Jr. for the Mets. Brady Singer for Cincy. Mike Trout, for the Angels have been mentioned. And Francisco Lindor and Bo Bichette are the Mets. Those are some names that are on the big board that could go. Scooter, any names that you want to throw out there, or any of those names that you want to comment on? I'm sure you got a comment for the CJ Abrams thing.
Yeah, first, like the Trout thing, that could be a real deal. Like he said, he wants to stay in LA, but if they go, listen, Atlanta wants you, and you can win. I mean, he should go. He should say, yeah, you can trade me there. to one of these places that makes sense. Like, I don't know if Boston or New York makes sense for a Trout, but like Atlanta makes great sense bringing him in. But the CJ Abrams thing is, I mean, the Nats, if they concentrate on relief pitching, they can get into the playoffs, and then they could cause some trouble.
Yeah.
So they can hit. So you get CJ Abrams away. I mean, you're losing a lot. Yeah. I mean, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases. You're just kicking all that away and saying that's it. So I think not only do the fans deserve to see something fun, they're right there. They have it.
Yep.
It's in their grasp. If this new general manager has done a great job so far, if he goes out there and does shores up some of the bullpen problems, they're a good team.
And we'll get into, they have made a trade to help that pitching, which we'll get into here next. Sarah Anthony says, and I think I know the answer to this question. It's not that you hate Sandy. You would only hate him because he became a New York Yankee, correct? Yeah, as you continue eating the spaghetti while on air. I'm sure Midnight. Yeah, there, have some wine. There you go. Oh boy, Midnight Rider's gonna have fun with this, with you eating on air. I can only wait to hear the comments about this. That will be coming up tomorrow night on probably on the Tuesday night flight. I'm sure we'll be the first that we hear of it for sure. So then this comment here, I think Mason Miller goes to the Rangers if he gets dealt. Like I don't know. I think I think the Padres have gotten themselves back into it where, again, I think they're kind of like the Marlins. I don't know that the Padres are going to make a deal. Emerson Hancock to the Braves could make sense. I think the Braves are going to want to shore up a few things, and I think that could be one of those things here that they shore up. So anything on any of those two names, Scooter, that get your attention?
I mean, he's not wrong. They could get moved, but we'll see. I mean, there's going to be a lot more people that don't get moved than moved.
I think you're right.
Can we talk about? So I think it's especially maybe this year because there's a lot of teams that think they're right there. But the good teams are going to try to make the move.
Yep. All right, Sarah. Anything on any of these guys that you want to throw out there now that you've had a chance to swallow your spaghetti?
Well, yeah, I got nothing. I know you said something about like Shane Bieber, Mike Trout. Like those are like the names that I know. So like with Shane Bieber, it's like, will he go back to Cleveland or
no?
You don't see it.
I don't see it. I if anything, I don't know what the guards are going to do. I think we're going to be sellers. We should be sellers because unless we just get somebody just that I don't foresee happening. So let's see what he says. I feel the Mariners have given up on Emerson Hancock because they drafted a whole bunch of starters. Yeah, that's true. I mean, he would be available if Seattle, but I'm never a big fan of trading away starting pitching because you can never have too much starting pitching until maybe the offseason. Then you make something work there. So so speaking of trades, there was a trade for and I'll be honest, I like this trade a lot for the Washington side of it. Oops, I did not mean to go that far. Washington trades, they get Conley early from the Red Sox for Curtis Mead. It's one of those interesting deals in this sense. Early really was in his first full year this year with the Red Sox as far as a starter goes. He was 7-5 with a 3.44. He is still currently on the IR with shoulder inflammation. I assume the Nats must have gotten enough back from the doctors to feel that he will be able to pitch again this year, or else I don't know why they would make this deal necessarily now. They give up on Curtis Mead, who it's kind of bounced around all over the place until this year. He got picked up off of waivers from the White Sox, and bam, he's hit 17 homers this year. But he is a career 244 hitter. But I think he's going to play really well in the short porch in Fenway. Like he's going to be smashing some balls off of the Green Monster left and right. So I think this is one of those deals for this year. Looks like it's going to be pretty good for both teams long term, assuming that Early doesn't really have the arm issues. I think this is a steal for the Nats. Scooter?
Yeah, I think it's a great trade for both. First for Boston. Boston, let's just put it this way. They've scored 150 less runs than the Washington Nationals. However, their pitching has been unbelievable. They're one of the best in the league. That's what's kept them in there. So it made sense to do this swap for Boston. They need home runs. And if they get into the playoffs, they're going to need some back. I don't think they're looking at the 240. They're looking at the 17. And for Washington, it's great for Washington because they basically just pick this guy up. He does awesome, and then they trade him for in a few weeks future starter, which is great because that helps their starting pitching even more. So I hope that they don't go and start trading away some of their starting pitchers that they've got on the cheap as well this season. And then they still need to concentrate. This doesn't help their middle relief at all, but this does help their starting pitching more. And their starting pitching, like I said, has been good. So yeah, I think it does help the Nats. And Early actually played it. He started a playoff game for Boston last spring, or excuse me, last fall. When he was, he's still like a rookie.
Yep, I like the deal. Sarah, anything on it? Nope.
Go Nats. Okay. Go Red Sox.
All right.
I don't know.
All right, so let's do this. Let's take a quick break. That's our baseball segment. We will break down all the trades that they happen next week. So that'll be a big part of our show next week. But next we got some NHL. Not a lot as far as player movement goes, but we got our next 5 teams to talk about and the schedule that came out. So we will get into our hockey segment right after this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our drive to the net. So there was a few little bit of rumblings from this week that we want to, from last, and this kind of actually happened before last week's show, but obviously we did not get into anything of this. And it is newsworthy. Steve Yzerman did step down as general manager in Detroit. Of course, the former great Red Wing player, could never really get it going. He becomes an advisor to the owner, but between the whole Dylan Larkin thing and that not working out, and the fact that it's been now 11 years still, and the Red Wings have not made the playoffs, it just seemed like it was going to be a move that had to happen. So Steve Yzerman out as GM in Detroit. Scooter, anything on that?
Yeah, so I looked into that, like why is Chris Ilitch the owner? Was he not putting money into this team? And that wasn't the case. Like they put money into it. Just Steve Yzerman just gave all that money to the wrong kids.
Yep.
And so, I know they love Steve Yzerman. It's probably 2 years too late, but move him up there because, you don't want to fire him.
Right.
But so it's time for that. They do something different.
Sarah, I'm not gonna. You chew your food. While you chew your food, and I'll do this. Like, see, you complain about me not going to you, and then when I'm ready to go to you, you got a mouthful of spaghetti in your mouth.
That was actually just meat sauce. Thank you very much.
Sure. Anything on Yzerman leaving Detroit?
The plan didn't work, guys. The plan didn't work.
Right, the plan didn't work. Great call. That was a common line of Steve Yzerman was the plan. So very, very nice pull there. I love that for sure. All right, the NHL schedule came out real quick. Opening night Tuesday, September 29th. Florida gets to host Carolina. I don't think that was a surprise to anyone that might be the matchup that they look for on opening night, and that is the matchup. Carolina will raise their banners. The Rangers will play Boston. Montreal plays Toronto. Chicago plays Vegas. Again, this is the start of 84 games this year. A few other games that note: the Heritage Classic, which will be our first outdoor game, will be in Winnipeg with Winnipeg against Montreal. That comes up in October. Then in Finland will be hosting the Carolina Hurricanes and the Seattle Kraken November 12th and 14th. Germany will be hosting the Blackhawks in Ottawa December 18th and 20th. The Winter Classic then goes to Utah with Colorado on December 31st. The NHL All-Star Game is going to be in Long Island on the weekend of February 5th and 6th. And then the NHL Stadium Series, February 20th from AT&T Stadium when Dallas hosts Vegas. Any thoughts on any of the schedules that struck your chords, Scooter?
I just thought the coolest thing is a preseason game. Washington, the Caps will be playing the Flyers and Hershey. So I think that's really cool. And the Hershey Bears are the Washington Capitals minor league AHL team. So I think that's pretty cool. And it's in Pennsylvania, Hershey, Pennsylvania, where they make all the chocolate, thanks to Mr. Hershey back in the day.
Yeah, I think I know the Canes are doing one of their preseason games this year in Greensboro. I think that's nice when the teams go to some of their minor league affiliates for the preseason games. You're likely not going to be playing many of the starters anyway, but still gives them a chance to see something of the product, at these games. So I'm all for it as well. So, Sarah, anything on the schedule?
So we're going to Finland, right?
No, we are not going to Finland.
We're going
I mean,
to Finland.
the Carolina Hurricanes are going to Finland.
We're
We are
going
not
to
going to
Finland.
Finland. Not unless a we hits the lottery, then we can consider that. But
enjoy their eel.
yep. The other,
there's a game on my birthday. We play the Toronto Maple
you
Leafs.
do. Yeah, I haven't figured out yet if we're gonna come in for a game or if we're gonna try to go to Columbus, or we gotta look at the schedule and figure out. I think they go up to Buffalo this year, which I talked with Aaron about doing on a Saturday, so we'll have to figure that out if you can figure that out. But all right, so some of our restricted free agents signed their deals. The big one, Jason Robertson, only a year deal at $12 million, so he's going to be an unrestricted free agent next year, which was an interesting part. Bedard gets his deal from the Blackhawks 5 years at 15, and then McMichael goes for St. Louis, of course, from Washington. He got a little bit more than I thought he would. He got 6 years, 6.5 for his deal in St. Louis, but will clearly be a Blue for a while. So I don't think, and the only one of these that kind of surprised me was Robertson. Not that, of course, that he signed the deal, just that Dallas agreed to just, we're going to be doing this again. And come trade deadline, his name is going to be right out there again, because it's a 1 year 12. Although I don't know if that's a stipulation where they can't trade him or not. So yeah, you got a new nickname. I told you this was this is your own fault that this is happening to you now.
Not my fault.
Two
you had
times,
the podcast and get her.
Sure.
I gotta eat. A girl's gotta eat. So sue me.
Chewy.
Scooter, any thoughts on any of the of these deals?
Now the Robertson thing, just like you said, that should be interesting. And McMichael got a little more than he's probably worth, but you got to give a little bit more now than anyways. So they had the money to spend.
Yep. Sarah, anything on any of these moves that surprised you or that you want to comment on? Oops. Bam.
Nothing. I mean, here, Robertson. I mean, the deal's okay, but it definitely is a sign that he is leaving once that 1 year is up. Because I mean, I think he was looking for more long term, but he rejected so many deals from like Seattle. I think San Jose was one he rejected as well. It was Seattle and I think one more.
That was St. Louis.
St. Louis. So I don't know. I mean, clearly it wasn't really. Obviously, it took a while to get there. So I think after this year, it will be gone. It would just be interesting. But Bedard, you had a chance to escape. You had a chance to run away. Why didn't you take it? And I probably know the answer, and it's money related. But I hate it. You could do so much better. I feel like I'm talking to myself, but like you could do so much better. Why didn't you leave? And I mean, we'll go into it more.
Yeah, it's interesting that
signings, but like
that nobody. I thought that somebody might throw a deal out there at him, but it didn't happen. So,
Robertson can be traded. I just checked it out.
He can. Okay, I think because he agreed to do the ARB, so I think that was part of it too, so he can be traded. So yeah, so I think that's going to happen too. No trades really for us to talk about. We did have a couple of our guys sign. Anthony Mantha officially signs with the New Jersey Devils, projected to get 4 and 6. He only got 2 years, 4.75, so it's a short-term deal. Goes from Pittsburgh to New Jersey. An okay signing. And then probably, not that it surprises me that Patrick Kane went back home. We talk about a team that had money to spend. He got 2 years at $8 million a year from Chicago at 37 years old. I just don't know that Patrick Kane's an $8 million a year player anymore. But that's probably what it took to get him to come back home.
Chicago. They don't do anything smart.
I can't disagree with that. So anything on either of those two signings, Scooter?
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling, I think a lot of people did, about the Kane going back to Chicago. I thought it'd be more of a 1 year deal. Yeah. It's more or less like maybe 1.5. 2.8. Okay. They must have the money to spend.
Yeah, they do. There's nothing on
He had a good season last year too. So let's not forget Patrick Kane played well.
He did.
I just don't know. Player.
It helps. I mean, we already did Chicago. I don't know. I think we kind of talked about maybe Kane goes back there when we did our Chicago picks. But so this will be it for our big board. There's only 3 players left. There's Tarasenko, Klingberg, and what's his name, Bunting, that are really left off this board, and Lane, who may or may not sign the deal depending on his health. So, but we'll update any other free agencies, as they happen throughout the off season. But it's going to be probably pretty quiet, I think, now until September. So, with that, let's get into our next 5 teams that are up First up is the San Jose Sharks. They finished the year at 39, 35, and 8, 86 points. They did lose a couple of Mario Ferrero and John Klingberg, but they had a hell of a great offseason. They bring in Jacob Trouba, Darnell Nurse, Mason Marchment, Ivar Stenberg, of course, is their number one pick. They pick up goaltender Eric Comrie and Michael Kessling in the deal that they got from Buffalo. And then, by the way, they had a really, really, really good draft this year too. So my thoughts on San Jose is this. My only concern for them is what are they going to do in goal? Because right now your starting goalies are Eric Comrie, Alex Ndalkovich, and Yaroslav Arsakov. That is not scaring any other team in the NHL. So I think they're going to be better this year. I think they'll get into the playoffs. I think they're going to be one of those fringe playoff teams. But this team come 2-3 years from now, look out. The whole question is going to be, they spent a lot on Trouba. Does that deal backfire? But I like the Nurse deal. I like the Marchment deal. The Stenberg pickup in the draft is great. He's already signed his deal, so he's going to be on the team. Scooter, what are your thoughts on the San Jose Sharks?
So last year they missed the playoffs by 4 points, and they won 39 games. 2 years ago, they won 20 games, and they missed the playoffs by like 40 points.
A lot.
So, but the problem is they haven't made the playoffs in years. Forget about it. So Mike Greer, who's been there quite 4 years now as their general manager, who's, of course, he's the brother of the Miami Dolphins former general manager, and his father was an NFL scout. So he has that in his blood to be a general. He knows scouting, general managing, how to do it. His second year coach, Ryan Warsofsky, really great. For what they did last year, and then they, by improving this. So I think Mike Greer is on a big hot seat. So if it fails, they both go down with the ship. I don't think it will fail, but if it does, and like you said, goaltending, we'll see what they do. See if Greer does something interesting.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think this is a make or break year for Greer. They got to make the playoffs, or he's probably gone. And if they start off slowly, he could be gone before even getting a chance to try to fix it. So he could be the first GM on the hot seat. I think I agree with you on that one. Sarah, what do you got on the Sharks?
If they're not a playoff team this season, I will personally riot. I mean, again, the crazy additions and even their draft was phenomenal. So, like you said, the only question is kind of in goal. I feel like it's still kind of iffy. And I mean, there's not really many, obviously, like decent goalies I think that are available. Kind of just be like the ones you take a chance on. So, I think they're probably even sticking with their goaltending as of right now, anyways. So, we'll definitely see. If anything, I'll expect like a high defensive, offensive team, but it's going to be like all of their games, not great goaltending. It just depends on who scores more.
It could be the Washington Nats at the NHL. You're going to go to a game and it could be a 6-5 game every time because they're going to score goals, but they're also going to give up some goals.
Exactly.
Hey, and then you know what? Those games are fun to be at. Like I'm all in. If I don't care about what team is winning the game, I want 10 to 12 goals. I want to be entertained with the red light going on quite a bit. So that brings up a team I think going the other way. You got the New Jersey Devils, who are 42, 37, 3, and 87 points. They lose Jacob Markstrom to the deal with Florida. Now they do bring in Ivan Rodriguez and Jesper Boqvist for sure, but they're in a division where teams have really improved, and so I personally have a bad feeling for them. Again, we talk about goaltending. Their starting goaltending might even be worse than San Jose. They're going into it with Jake Allen, who is no spring chicken, Nico Dawes, who played okay last year but was not great, and they picked up David Rittich, who has been a journeyman goaltender in the NHL for as well. So we talk about a team not having a goaltender. That's the New Jersey Devils, and in a division that has gotten nothing but tougher. I don't have good vibes for the New Jersey Devils. Scooter, do you have any good vibes?
So as I mentioned earlier, the Philadelphia 76ers and the Washington Commanders are owned by Josh Harris. So he owns the Devils as well. So they brought in a new general manager, Sonny Maeda. He's from Florida. He won 2 cups in Florida. Assisting, not as a general manager, but assisting the general manager. He grew up in New Jersey, so he's a Jersey kid. Now he's the general manager of the Jersey Devils, which are named for some mythical creature in the swamps of New Jersey. But their head coach is Sheldon Keefe. So in Toronto, when he was in Toronto,
he made this every year he was in Toronto. They made the playoffs. 5 years he was it. They made the playoffs. He got fired because they didn't go farther. Now so he's been here with New Jersey for 2 years. So he is underneath Meta, as his first coach, but he didn't hire him. But
Right.
Sheldon Keefe is basically it's almost identical 2 seasons because 2 years ago they had 42 wins. They had 91 points. They made the playoffs. Last year they had 42 wins. They had 87 points, and they were out of the playoffs by 12 points, which sort of goes by what you're saying is the division is quite difficult. So I think, it's a good coach. He's a good coach. If they get consistently better, maybe they can get consistent. They can get better. And I think they will at least be one of those teams fighting at the last week to get in the playoffs, not one of the bad teams.
Yeah, they won't be because they do have Jack Hughes and Luke Hughes. So they do have 2 really good players right there in the brothers. So they're not going to be bad as long as those 2 stay healthy. But I'm not feeling it for them. Sarah, do you have any love at all for the New Jersey Devils?
Okay, well, I don't hate them, and that's what you're trying to set up.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, like you said, in a division that already was one of the most difficult this last season, it's not. I feel like they could have done more. And yes, Rodriguez and Bakvis they're both a good addition, but I don't know if it's enough. Obviously, I would think they would be like just shy of making the playoffs, probably. It just really depends. I do think there are not great teams in the Metro where they're not going to finish last in the division. But they'll probably still be, ironically, 6th or 7th place in the Metro.
Haha, nicely done. I'm not doing it though.
I'm
All
so
right. Well,
guys.
I think we kind of are in agreement on New Jersey. So now we get to our first playoff team from last year, the LA Kings. Even though they had the 20th most points in the NHL, they made the playoffs. The big reason why: 35 wins, 27 losses, but they lost another 20 games. So this team was actually 35-47. They just happened to lose 20 of their games in overtime to get the overtime point. This is one of those teams why we did what we did during the season about what if we got rid of the overtime point, or what if we changed it where you got 3 points in regulation. Most of this was because of the LA Kings. That's just that's how they got in, is based off of that the overtime loser point. They do lose Kopitar to retirement. They added a lot of old players. They added Scott Lawton, Eric Hala, Corey Perry, and Mats Zuccarello. So my question to you guys is this: they got older, but are they better? Scooter, what do you think?
I don't know if they're better. Well, the thing is talk about old. The general manager is Ken Holland. He's 70, so he's been everywhere. He's legendary. He won all those cups with the Kings, with the Red Wings. But the thing about the Kings is they always make the playoffs. They always lose to Edmonton, or in this past year they lost to the Avalanche. So, they lost in 4 games. They were playing the Avalanche. It was sort of like they got what they deserved. They got into the playoffs, then they lost 4 straight. But, of course, their head coach is Peter Laviolette. So I think he's coming in there like he's going to, at least Ken Holland believes, Laviolette, who's been basically the head coach of 90% of the teams in the NHL, who's 61 years old, he's probably brought in there to, whip these veterans to get back into the play, to stay in the playoffs and get better. So I don't know. Jury's out. I think they're little. Were they good last year? I just don't know. I think they were. They could have won 55 games if you think about it.
That's true.
But they also could have lost 47.
Yeah, they could have. Well, they technically did lose 47 games.
Technically, they did. Yes.
Sarah, what do you think? Are they better or not better next year?
I think they're going to be better. Now I will say, even last season, I remember their additions. I was like, these are older player. They're going for a lot of more veteran vibes, and I think that's kind of still what they're doing. And again, it obviously didn't hurt them that much this season. They made the playoffs. They finally beat Edmonton in the first round. I think it's a good sign. I I guess the only question is kind of like who really fills in that role that Kopitar had, because that is a huge role to fill. Because I mean, he's just a great player. He's a great guy. Obviously, he's been in the league so long. So I think it'll be interesting. And I will say, like, I think they're going to get off to a rocky start trying to figure out what goes with what, But I think they'll figure it out, and I think they will make the playoffs. Obviously, the question is how far they're going to make it, and if they have to play Edmonton the first round again.
I think for me, the Kings are a big puzzle because they had the opportunity with Kopitar retiring. They could have said, you know what? We're going to take advantage of this. We're going to blow it up. We're going to start a rebuild. We're going to get young and we're going to get better that way, long-term goals. But you bring in a coach like Lavi, you're not bringing in Lavi for a rebuild. You're bringing in Lavi with hopes of, because look, Lavi's record is Lavi's record. You know what you're going to get. You got 1 year where it seems like the team really catches fire and plays well under him. Maybe you get a second year. Lately, it's been one and done with most of his recent stops. But, in his past, you could get maybe if you're really lucky, a third year out of the team before they just tune him out. So the question is going to be, does he get that 1 year in LA? If he gets that 1 year, they'll make the playoffs again. If he doesn't, teams like San Jose, I think San Jose is the one team that if they don't make the playoffs, it's going to be because San Jose, nips them and gets them. Maybe Seattle too. So the Kings are just that team of, I don't know if they've done enough to get better or not. Some fans vent. Welcome. Was this your first time? Greer being on the hot seat is actually the craziest thing I've ever heard. Huh. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think if he doesn't do it, look, he's built what they built in San Jose, but if he doesn't produce this year, I could see him being on the hot seat. Like you're based off of the results that you get on the team. So he's made these moves. They haven't made the playoffs yet. So not that I feel like I have to defend you there, Scooter, but I think I at least get why you're saying that he could be on the hot seat. But hey, if you think he isn't, I can understand that too. I mean, his draft he had a hell of a draft. There's no denying that. But I think that draft also puts him on the hot seat if they don't make the playoffs in a very, very weak Pacific division. Like that division is there for a team like San Jose to come up and make the playoffs in this year. It just is. It's the weakest division in all of hockey. So I think that also factors into it.
And let's look at what Steve Yzerman did again with the Red Wings. How many playoffs did they go to? And like I said, they should have gotten rid of him 2 years ago. And the only reason they didn't, because he's Steve Yzerman. Okay, Mike Greer is no Steve Yzerman for San Jose. So, and they've had him for this is what, year 5 now?
I think so, yeah.
So he's going to wind up like Chris, his brother, who couldn't get the deal done down in the Dolphins. So I root for Mike Greer. I love Mike Greer. I think he's great, and I really want him to succeed. But there gets to a point where if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And this is the year. And
I think honestly it is going to work. I think San Jose is going to make the playoffs this year. So but if it does go bad, then he's going. Those could be problems. So another interesting one of these mid-ground teams, the Islanders, 43-34-5, 91 points, finished 19th overall last year. They didn't really have any key losses. They added in a backup goalie in Vanacek, who was with Utah last year. They got a D from Minnesota, and Ryan Healy. That's really it. So they haven't really added anything. They haven't really lost anything. They have a new old coach, who they brought in. They fired Patrick Waugh. They brought in DeBoer the last couple of weeks of the season. Wasn't enough to get him in the playoffs. So now he's got a first full year. So the question I think for the Islanders is going to be, was it all that this team just really performed poorly under Patrick Waugh and DeBoer can get him in? Or are we going to see more of the same Islanders kind of middle of the road blah? Scooter, what do you think?
Well, Patrick Waugh is a well-known professional head case. So when they started like really faltering down the end, I think ownership's just like, okay, we're just going to cut our losses here. Hopefully we can pull one of what Vegas is doing, and we're going to get Peter DeBoer, a professional, no nonsense. He doesn't go crazy. He's not a loose cannon. And so that's what they got. But, under Patrick Waugh, they did improve, if you will. I mean, DeBoer went 1-3 with them, which is, it was already, that's not his fault. But, I mean, they had a 9-point improvement from the year before. They had 8-game win. They won 8 more games. They still missed the playoffs by 8 points this year, but they had 91 points.
So they're a team. They're a good team.
Sarah, what do you think?
I don't think they're going to do better. I think this is going to be bottom of the Metro. I don't. Vanacek, like, he is still a good goalie. Like, I do. I think obviously their goaltending is strong, and I mean, Ilya Sorokin, like, being the player he is, like, I think, like, they are still, like, they will still be a good team, but the Metro is just so hardcore. I feel like they could have definitely made some moves with their roster, to kind of certify their place in the Metro. But I think they'll do worse. I don't know if it's going to be like full. I would predict full bottom, but to be honest, it could go anywhere. They might be just shy of making the playoffs, or again, they might be bottom. But I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they should have done more if they really wanted to certify that spot.
Yeah,
Just with how hardcore the division is.
I agree. I think it's a tough. Yep, go ahead, Scooter.
No, I do want to add the fact that the general manager, Matthew Darche, it's a second year, so he didn't hire Patrick Waugh. That's not his guy. So, but as a general manager, you can fire him. So he fired him. With the interesting thing about their general manager, Darche, is that his brother, JP, he was a long snapper on the Seattle Seahawks in Super Bowl 40. And he's like one of the only Canadians to ever play in the Super Bowl.
Scooter is always good for pulling up names. You're just like, I love it. That's what I love about it. That's why you're key to the show, is because you find these little links of people that I just love. Like who I would never even thought to look for that. So I love it. I'm kind of with you. I think I'm with both you guys. They could be a playoff team. It would also not surprise me if they completely fall off the wagon this year and miss the playoffs. Again, we talked about the Metro. It's going to be an interesting division next year for sure, with other teams that we still have to talk about later. So we'll see. And another team in the Metro that is an enigma for most people is the Columbus Blue Jackets. Their last team for tonight, 40, 30, and 12 for 92 points last year. They lose Mason Marchment and Boone Jenner from their team, which they brought in Rick Bowness as the head coach. They kind of caught fire under him, but then struggled down at the end. And he talked about if he comes back of some players that are just going to have to not be there because they just didn't have the right attitude. And a lot in the media in Columbus were leaning towards that these were two of those types of players that he just did not want to have back. They add Nichushkin and Luke Tuck, so a couple of decent ads. They do get Jet Grease signed to his deal, so he's likely going to be their goalie for the next 3 years. But again, it's another one of these teams. I don't know that they're better. I don't know that they're worse. I just think that, and again, they're in this incredibly tough division that I think they'll be okay in. But I don't see enough there to say, oh yeah, that's a playoff team. Scooter, what do you think?
Well, the past 2 seasons, they have won 40 games in each season. Now, the past 2 seasons have also been led by general manager Don Waddell, who's been around for a long time. So he's 67 years old. So Rick Bowness, he's 71 years old. So they have a very mature upper management going on there. And so it's interesting about Bowness. We've spoken about him before, about how he's like in record books and stuff like that. But he is he's officially the last head coach who's active, who was a head coach in the 1980s when he coached the Winnipeg Jets, who, years later would move.
I agree. Sarah, what do you think on the Blue Jackets?
I root for them. I really do. And I maybe it's just my bias speaking in that sense, but like I hope and I do think in a way that this year they'll finally make the playoffs. I do think compared again to the division, it's probably still going to be a wild card spot. And then obviously once you enter the playoffs, it's a free for all if you're going to make it that far. But I do think they're going to make it. I mean, again, they were just short again this past season. So I think I really I don't know. I just got this feeling in my soul where it's like this has got to be the year, This has got to be the year they finally make it in. I mean,
it's a big year to keep Zach Werenski happy too. Like he
that's what I'm saying, because like especially
wanted out, then he backed off of that. Now he's saying he's okay there. Like they don't.
There's still something going on there, and there's something bigger going on there. Like you have to see the whole picture. So this year, I think I don't even think he's technically like. it was just trade details that he was discussed because next year his contract is up, right?
He's got 2 years left.
2 years. So, I mean, obviously this year and next year, I think is like really the solid placement to see like, okay, are they actually going to do something? So I really do think that this will be the year. It's just a feeling in my soul. And of course that's also my bias because I do love this team. So
I root for them too. I mean, they're my home state team now. So I mean, which is it's so weird because usually in the NHL and most sports, like you're allowed to like one team in one conference and another team in the other conference. And for me, like my first love is of course the Carolina Hurricanes. But for my years in DC, I don't root against the Washington Capitals. I usually root for them unless they are playing the Carolina Hurricanes. And the same thing with the Blue Jackets. I root for them unless they're playing the Washington Capitals or the Carolina Hurricanes. Like I really do like all three of these teams, and it's kind of weird because normally you don't like other teams in your division, but I've got a lot of love for Columbus. They're fun. Anytime I've gone down to watch them play, it's a great barn to see a game at, and they're a fun team. So I hope that they make the playoffs. I just don't know it's enough.
So it's interesting too because they lost Boone Jenner to Washington. Of course,
right.
That's awesome.
Which
so
speaking of
they don't
Washington,
have a
we'll
captain.
get to them later. They do not right now.
They do not have a captain. So I mean, is it going to be Zach Werenski? If it's not, isn't that kind of a kick in the cup?
Right. Kick in the cup. I like that. Very nice. Well done there, sir. All right, so we're going on an hour and 36 minutes here. It's time to wrap this bad boy up. So down the road for us, we're going to continue our teams next week. We have the Anaheim Ducks, the Detroit Red Wings, the Utah Mammoth, the Edmonton Oilers, and surprisingly, the Stanley Cup finalists, the Vegas Golden Knights, who by point-wise finished 13th in the NHL last year. It's also MLB trade deadline day, so that's going to be our big talking points for the next week's show. Then August 10th, we start getting to some of the big teams. The Washington Capitals, who did not make the playoffs but had the 12th most points in the NHL. So let that sink in for you. And then everyone else on here is a playoff team. Philadelphia Flyers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Ottawa Senators, the Boston Bruins, and the Minnesota Wild. Then we'll finish up our series on August 17th with the Montreal Canadiens, the Tampa Bay Lightning, the Buffalo Sabres, the Dallas Stars, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the Colorado Avalanche. And then on August 31st will be our college football preview show. To get you ready for that, we will debut the Sideline Junkie Podcast Network Top 10. We're going to have everyone that's on the Sideline Junkies. They're going to give their own top 10 to me. Then I'll calculate the results for the official Sideline Junkie Podcast Top 10 top 10 to give every show a little bit of college football father. So we're getting there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are a football fan, either college or the NFL, Drive Time will be your source for that. We will start getting into the football stuff once we get to the end of August and we finish up our hockey review. So there you have it. No pretenders or contenders tonight. There will be no show tonight. So our next show on the network is going to be Unapologetic Sports with Flying Brian and Lee Ice. A great show. If you haven't had a chance to check that show out, I really, really strongly recommend that show for sure. The guys do a great job. They always have either a GOAT segment or they bring up position and who people think are the top. So it's great for talking. Then of course you got Flying High with Brian, and he'll pick out some players that are doing really well, but you do not want to be in the Lee Ice cooler. And I guarantee you there'll probably be a mention of LeBron being in the cooler again as well for him. Then the guys will be up on the Tuesday night flight. Nothing But Net will be out on Wednesday, the Thursday night throwdown on Thursday. Then we have our WrestleManiacs, the show that started all Saturday night, and then the Sunday morning rise gets you ready for everything again. So there you have the lineup. That has been one full show again today for us. So Scooter, any final thoughts that you have?
Yeah, just thinking about all of our Korean War veterans and those who are no longer with us. Today is Korean War Veterans Armistice Day. The war happened from 1950 to 1953 in Korea, obviously. It was our first, the United States Army, the entire military. It's the first war where everyone, race, were actually able to finally serve together. In those 3 years, we lost 33,000 troops killed. So it's a forgotten war. People always forget about Korea. So let's just remember them today.
Well said, Scooter. And it's one of I think it's one of the areas that I appreciate the most whenever I do visit DC is that Korean War Memorial.
Mm-hmm.
It's so well done. It's like eerie and it's haunting, right? But at the same time, like, it's very reflective. It's one of the better memorials in the DC area for sure. But yeah, it's
absolutely.
Well said as always for anything dealing with our vets. Sarah, any final thoughts for you?
Well, I can't top what Scooter said.
No. What I know what Midnight Rider will probably most likely want to know is what will you be eating during next week's show?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, there's a funny story though. So, yesterday after work, I got gas, and so I had like a bunch of cash. So usually, what I do is like I'll buy something inside, and I'll just hand like the cash doing like pump sticks, whatever. But I bought an energy drink and a Caesar salad. I was like, oh, I can eat this for lunch throughout the week. It'll be fine. Got home, and Mom's like, you shouldn't eat that salad. I was like, why? You want to know what brand salad it was?
Taylor Farms.
Taylor Farms.
You got the explosive diarrhea salad?
I have the explosive diarrhea salad in my fridge right now.
Just let one of your dogs eat it. See,
No,
it
no.
could be the test subject for you.
Ringo had diarrhea this past week. I don't think dogs can get the parasite, but like
So if people like steal your stuff from the office fridge, just put it in.
Yeah, put it in the office fridge, see what
I
happens.
used to do interesting tricks like that at 16 VV at Dulles when people would steal my sandwiches.
Oh yeah, because that place was notorious for getting your stuff stolen from that fridge. You are 100% correct. Like that might have been the worst Enterprise location as far as having food get stolen.
Now, I never did anything that would be too crazy to put anyone sick or anything like that, but I wouldn't want to eat it.
Because you had those admin offices back there, and somebody always brought in fish to that damn place. Like, I was always mad when I went back there. And it's like, who the hell brought fish in here? If only Midnight Rider was on, he could talk about the horror stories of Enterprise lunch, which because at the local branches you never had time to actually eat a lunch. So if you got lucky, you got lucky. You went through the McDonald's drive-through and scarfed something down on your way to pick somebody up. That was about the best. The best you could hope for. Maybe you got the branch manager would be nice to you one day and bring in pizza, but Jeff Nail would never do that because he was always mean, right? Wasn't that the story? He was a mean general manager.
We got a pickup down at Falls Church Auto Body. Get down there. That wasn't my Jeff thing. I never worked with Jeff, but we hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Go to FCAB. Bring down an S car.
Right.
Oh my God.
Then you get there and there's no car. You're like,
Now, do you remember when we used to we'd move cars from one place to the other?
Oh my God.
And then we put in the system that it's being moved to on OTW to 161V or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I should have gotten fired for some of the stuff I wrote in there.
Yeah, Robo, Greg Robowski, he always had some good abbreviations that he would put in there too. He had some fun with that one for sure. So, low fin for if it was on oil change and all kinds of good stuff. So, all right, enough Enterprise talk. That's enough for one day. So, all right. With that being said, everyone, I appreciate all the comments in the show. We'll look forward to seeing you next week again. Make sure you tell your loved ones that you love them and hug them. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. Hopefully, you'll be with us though next week. And until then, we are out of here. See you, everybody.